Good morning. I want to thank you all for coming. I'm Tammy Bailey, the senior counselor. I want to start off by thanking some of our special guests who are joining us today. We have three members of the Board of Education here today. We have Mr. Shane Lip from District 1. Raise your hand, Mr. Lip, so they know where you are. Mrs. Bridget Oliver from District 2. Mr. Harry Proctor from District 5. Doesn't he look nice? Um, and that's it. And we also have our superintendent, Mr. Roger Couch, with that big smile on his face. And perhaps most importantly, for the first time in many, many years, I am able to welcome students as we are live streaming and students are able to watch. So that's a big deal. So the underclassmen and everybody get to experience this year. So thanks, Ms. Snyder, because that was something I've wanted for a long time. Harris County High School has so many things that we need to be proud of, but mostly we are proud of our students. We have some great students, and we are here today to celebrate three members of the class of 2023 who are not just great, they are truly extraordinary, the best of the best. Sometimes we can start to feel that all the bad news of the world is caving in around us, and it's refreshing to come together today to celebrate our basic values of hard work, dedication, and overall excellence. Abraham Lincoln said, "The best way to predict your future is to create it." And I predict that these young people have certainly created a bright future for themselves. The first person we're going to recognize today is our star student. The star student is the student who is in the top 10% of the class and who scores the highest score on one sitting of the SAT. And by the way, we have around 400 students in this class, so this is quite a feat. This student possesses qualities that represent what we want for all graduates: intelligence, diligence, work ethic, compassion, is an active contributor to the whole school and the whole campus life. Throughout high school, this student has chosen a rigorous course load. In fact, all of her core classes have been at either the honors, AP, or college level. She has chosen to take more AP classes than we offer through our online platform. Not only is this student an excellent test taker, but also has an extremely high GPA. The high GPA becomes even more impressive when one sees how active this student is both inside and outside of school. This student serves as president of the Science National Honor Society, vice president of the National Honor Society, vice president of Gay Straight Alliance, and I could go on. This student's interests are varied and diverse, and this student seeks ways to surround herself with diversity, both in people and experiences. I told her recently that the theme of her life so far is out of the box, and I have several examples to show why I think this. We have marching band, and this student is a leader in that organization. Yet, because she wanted to be exposed to other musicians, she has joined the Columbus Youth Orchestra as well. Another interest that sets this student apart is her participation in tabletop gaming. She spends at least, I'm sorry, I'm saying it all. She spends at least 4 hours a week progressing an ongoing campaign or game of Dungeons and Dragons with a small group of her friends, and she's blushing. Another example of her broadening her exposure is how she went on a student field trip, I guess you'd say, to Greece this past summer with me. And she didn't know much about the culture or the language, but she knew it would be a great opportunity to experience something outside her comfort zone, something out of the box. Coming back from Greece, we had a layover in Toronto where our luggage was lost, and we had to stay in the airport without luggage. This student handled this situation extremely well. The airline losing everybody's luggage was bad on everyone, but especially bad for this student because she was heading straight to Rhode Island instead of going home. Once again, showing her desire to branch out from the familiar, she attended a summer program at Brown University. In addition to Brown, she also virtually attended the Yale Young Global Scholars Program this past summer, further feeding her desire for a broader global perspective. Again, showing how diversified she wants to be, she has tried her hand at figure skating, rock climbing, and even aerial silks. None of these activities are typical for a rural Georgia girl. Recently, this student was chosen to be on the Georgia Superintendent State Student Council. She will act as a bridge between the Georgia high school students and the state superintendent of schools. There are very few selected for this position, so it's a huge accomplishment. This student is also our page one nominee in the area of English. In addition to the above mentioned accomplishments, Hannah is genuinely a nice person. She is cooperative and never complains. Her easygoing personality makes her easy to work with and well liked by her peers and her teachers. Please congratulate our star student, Hannah Kubrick. Star student, Hannah picks a star teacher. So Hannah is now going to come join me and tell us who she chose to be her star teacher and why.
Hi. The teacher that I chose is someone that's practically watched me grow up at this point. She's definitely seen me at my best and my worst, but she's always motivated me to be better, not only as a musician, but as a person and a student too. So I chose Ms. Carlson.
Congratulations, Mrs. Carlson. I'm glad you were able to come. I've had to tell many a story this week to try to get this to work, but it's okay. The next student we are going to recognize is our salutatorian. The first words that come to mind when describing this student are intelligent, academic, and well balanced. He is 100% focused on academic excellence, but has other interests as well. I honestly don't know how he has kept up the pace with such excellent results. Like the previous student, he has taken many additional AP courses after maximizing the courses that we offer on campus. His course load has been one of the most rigorous of any student at the high school. Another remarkable aspect of this student is that teachers in all academic areas rave about him: arts, math, science, social studies, and foreign language. He is just gifted in all areas. Last year, he was chosen as the most outstanding student in AP English, AP Environmental Science, and in AP Biology. He is also our page one nominee in the area of foreign language. These awards show how varied and well rounded his academic successes are. He was also chosen to be the student intern for the production team that streams our Board of Education meetings, and he is also involved in our theater department. Even with his exceptionally difficult course load, he is a two-sport varsity level athlete, lettering in both cross country and track and field. In addition to all of that, this student somehow holds down a part-time job. He also went on that previously mentioned Greece trip last summer, and like Hannah, this student showed remarkable patience and maturity when things got really hard. A workload like this student has would make most teenagers cave in to the pressure and stress. While he says he spends numerous hours per day on his schoolwork and on his athletic practices, in every encounter I have with him, he is smiling, he's pleasant, and above all, he is humble. He is all business when it comes to school, but he seems to have discovered that balance that we'd like all students to discover, and I truly enjoy working with him. Even with all the great things I have said about him, perhaps the best thing I can say is that he is a young man of true integrity. He stands tall among his peers. If he tells me he has a concern about a situation, I sit up and I take note. Honestly, if he told me it was raining $100 bills outside, I would believe him and I'd run outside and try to catch some. When he speaks, I listen, and I think his peers have the same respect for him. There have been several of his classmates who have told me that Chase Miller sets the bar for them. He is a class act all the way around. Chase, I want you to come up here for a minute so that the camera can see you. Please help me congratulate the salutatorian. I'm a hugger. I can go back. Last but not least, we are going to recognize the valedictorian of the class of 2023. This student is a dedicated and intelligent student who has always set the academic bar high for himself and has been extremely successful in his pursuit of his goals. He has taken either honors level, AP level, or college level courses in all of his core subjects at the high school, and his grades are outstanding in all of them. He has also maximized our AP course offerings and has taken many additional AP courses online. This student truly desires to learn and grow as a student, and he constantly wants to be the best that he can be. All of his teachers have only positive comments about him, each saying that he works hard, both alone and with others, and that his inquisitive nature is a positive influence in the classroom. They also comment that he is often the only one in the room who gets the adult humor that the teachers tell in class. Um, in every encounter I have had with him, he has been extremely polite, respectful, and cooperative. He thanks me numerous times anytime I do the least little thing for him. Anyone who knows and has worked with this student will attest to the fact that when you work with this student, you are merely the co pilot. This student is always in the driver's seat with a plan on how to get wherever it is he wants to go. This student doesn't simply do things, he does them with the goal of doing them the best that is possible. One of his teachers called him the maximizer, and I would have to agree. He gives maximum effort for maximum results at all times. He is competitive and strives to excel at everything he does, whether it be his academics, his sense of fashion, or even a game of spoons. Miss Brady said you just have to be there to understand that one. This student has outstanding leadership skills, which he further developed through his participation in marching band. This student actually didn't even join marching band until his junior year, and as usual, once he was a member and saw how much he enjoyed it, he wanted to go as high as he could, so he tried out for drum major, and of course, he made it. In the words of Mrs. Carlson, our band director, who we just met a moment ago, quote, Nick seems to be only in competition with himself, but still thrives on competing with others. When he learned marching band, he relied first on his physical abilities and would practice and study to grasp the musical part. In class, he will often sit in deep thought with his flute in his lap, watching, listening, studying, and then finally playing. He's the only kid I know that has played flute for 2 years but can play the audition requirements for 12th grade honor band, end quote. Being the drum major is a huge undertaking because it requires the student to walk that fine line between friend and leader. Nick has been successful in his leadership of over 100 students. He has grown tremendously through this role and has led impeccably. He also has transferred his leadership skills to other areas. He's the lead lifeguard at the Fort Benning pool. And speaking of swimming, this student recently made all-state swim team, and again demonstrating his achievement of excellence in all areas. This student is quite simply a student who will always perform his utmost ability, going above and beyond what is just necessary, and he will excel in his attempts to achieve, whether it's in the classroom or outside the classroom. Nick, will you come up here a minute? Thank you, darling. Please help me congratulate the valedictorian of the class of 2023, Mr. Nick Polomiev. Before we conclude, I have several people who have helped make this day possible, and I feel like I definitely need to take time to thank all of them. First of all, Mrs. Snyder for her support and her money. No matter what I ask about, hey, what if I do this? What if we do this? Her answer was always the same. I just want it to be nice. And so I do appreciate that. Mrs. Lucas and her wonderful library staff who have done so many things from rearranging furniture to rearranging the whole day of the library. I don't know where she is, but thank you, Miss Lucas and your staff. Mrs. Longshore for making this live stream dream of mine come into reality. Mrs. Pierce for the use of her plants. If you ever need to borrow plants, she's your person. Her roof's filled with them. Mr. Miller, Mr. Thomas, and Mr. Dunn for some gifts they have donated that I have for these students. Mrs. Freeman for checking numbers for me over and over and over. And all of the counselors and Mrs. Vicki Miller. Mrs. McCosh, who is our registrar, who went well above and beyond in setting all of this up. She stayed very late last night and got here very early, and I can never thank her enough. Everything is just beautiful. So please give another round of applause for everybody that I thanked. And you three, would y'all come up here? I just have a gift bag for each of you. Inside the gift bags, I mean, they can show you later, but everything in it was made in-house by our CTA students or something like that. So I'm hoping that wherever you guys land, you'll take those with you as a remembrance of Harris County and good old Harris County High School. But thank everybody for coming. We're going to have some time for making pictures and letting you guys speak to the honorees if you want to. And I know the faculty here on planning probably are anxious to get back to their rooms because y'all busy, and I know that. But we'll make some pictures and talk, and then we have a great breakfast that we've set up for you guys. So thank everybody for coming.